You ever seen somebody do this before? Just so we're clear, that is a salute for any U.S. Army officer that you might see floating around these here United States. But if you absolutely must salute someone in the struggle for African liberation, make sure that you're respectful and make sure that when you give your salute, it looks like this. And it's also a great exercise workout. If you can hold it up as long as you possibly can, that's also really improved and greatly appreciated. So with that said, we're going to go back to some questions.
So we left with a really heated topic here. You explained that you are Pan-African, and I was wondering, for someone who identifies themselves as that, how are the interactions with other races who don't?
I mean, I think the same onus and responsibility that a German would have when dealing with a Frenchman or a Chinese man would have if he were living in America and he had dual citizenship is it's no different. The only thing that's different is that there's a mindset pervading the American conscience that says that I'm a slave. That says that the people that look like me are automatically due the loyalty or due to express some type of allegiance and loyalty to this country post haste immediately without any reservation whatsoever. And please stop talking about slavery, sir. Right? That's the mindset of this country. And so like once you understand that I'm not a slave, then it is totally understandable for me to be a Pan-Africanist. If you can't handle that, then you ought to check like the origins of why you think that I owe you some measure of allegiance and not to the place in which you stripped my ancestors from.
Well, you spoke on the fact that a lot of people are maybe ill-informed about the history of our country or their own ancestry or identity, and you kind of brought up the point that you asked someone, hey, do you consider yourself a slave owner, and their response was, no, I don't. And they truly believe that. What is that kind of interaction like? If someone is saying or identifying themselves as being a part of a unified nation of, hey, I get along with blacks, I get along with Indians, I get along with Arabs, I get along with everyone, can you still have that kind of belief and be a Pan-African? Are those two things ever kind of crossing paths?
No, I think that we can trade, we can interact, we can pass each other in the street, we can play on the same basketball team. None of that is really that big of a deal. It becomes a struggle when people's ancestral roots start to manifest themselves. It becomes a problem when I act like a slave, and it also becomes a problem when people act like slave owners. So like if I am doing things to spite black folks, although I'm African American, or I start to subscribe to European or American values that put black lives on the back burner so that their system can continue, then that throws the entire system off, right? Like our American politics is based upon what is called a détente system, which means that people have to pull equally on it. It's the system of checks and balances in essence. It's just kind of said in a French tone, and it has a lot to do with kind of like this musical connotation of a string being tightly pulled. Mm-hmm. And so the idea is that you must kind of campaign for your nation. You must rock with your team. And when you don't, and that doesn't mean that you disrespect anyone, but it also means that you're very clear about the resources and the objectives and intentions of your people. Like if you don't do that, then you train wreck the entire system, and it becomes a tyrannical, a monopolized system, and you throw off the balance of that system. So as long as we've got black folks who are respecting their Africanity, and we have white folks or Indians and whomever not trying to put us in that compromising position inside of their lot, and all lives matter, not black lives matter. You know what I'm saying? Like when you start shouting those things out, like we're not actually trying to create an initiative to be recognized as human beings, then we can coexist just fine. As a Pan-Africanist, you can't put other people's struggles, you can't put personal struggles above these two principles: the liberation of African people wherever they may be on this globe, and the procurement of the African continent for African people. Those two key pillars are most important to our Pan-African sensibility or ideology.